Grand Rising, welcome to Rise Up with Blooming Lotus Wellness. My name is Danielle Claxton, and today is Monday, December 26th, 2023. I had to remember what day it was.
Yay! Happy Kwanzaa!
Happy Kwanzaa, everybody. How was your Christmas? How was your weekend?
It was great. I was happy to start off Christmas with dancing with Mama Evelyn. That was so much fun. I hope we worked a little bit of that cold out of you yesterday. Yeah. Yes.
No, thank goodness. I had a wonderful holiday. Stark contrast from last year. I know speaking things into existence helps, but also writing things down and having some sort of plan, even if that plan is not sit around and do nothing, but I had some sort of plan. Worked out perfectly. And I'm trying to find my phone. Okay, that's weird because I know my phone is here somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't get over to the children. It was just too cold to move about, and the cold and the car that they had, or the truck, had no heat in it, so they was not going to be traveling from location to location, for that. So I'll have to bless them with my gifts Wednesday. It's supposed to warm up on Wednesday. Otherwise, this is what it's going to be like, cold for the next couple of days. But we're blessed to have a place where we can go inside and be warm and snuggle up if you can, or snuggle up with yourself, or snuggle up with your blanket, right, Mama Evelyn? With that blanket on. That's what I did yesterday. Shoot, got over my sister-in-laws, and I was already cold, and I knew I really, anywhere I go, I should always have an extra sweater and an extra pair of socks and stuff. Because if I can keep my head warm and I can keep my feet warm, I'm okay. Because that's where, that's where it really affects me, is my feet and my head. So I had the head warm, but when I got in there, oh my goodness, it wasn't cold. It just wasn't, there was that
chill in the air.
because the windows didn't, she's high up and in the apartments, and that wind was, hitting the windows in. But she had a really good comforter, so I was nice and comfortable and watching TV and eating brunch. That's what she had, a brunch gathering. And she's an excellent cook, so I couldn't eat nothing but the grits, but they were delicious. They were simply delightful.
Oh, that sounds good. My Greg's friend actually had brunch Christmas Eve. It was fun. I mean, it was different to have brunch that late in the evening, but I finally learned how to play Phase 10, which was fun. And it was just good just to get out the house and do something different. Yesterday, I mean, I did stuff, but did a whole, the dance party was amazing. Yeah, it was just nice. It seemed like I think Christmas should be 2 days. I really do.
Well, I think you're gonna have to just change the word Christmas Eve to Christmas and Christmas. So many people are just trying to get through that one day with whatever situations that they have. But you can celebrate Christmas in July. Some people do that. And you can celebrate Christmas at any time if you're not stuck on the you know, the what I want to say, the unreal meaning of Christmas, that part, and just love all the time, give all the time, celebrate all the time for every life that exists, used to exist, about to exist. You celebrate that. You got Christmas. Give gifts all the time, whether you have a meaning or, because some gifts, people give gifts and it's because they chose their name. It's not because that is coming from the heart, you know. So we declare 2023 as Christmas every day, every day, Christmas, every day.
So my question is, how do you feel about that? Because it's like the more and more you find out about what Christmas, how much of a made-up holiday Christmas really is, from its like real pagan roots to now, it's like the commercialism of now. It's like, this is interesting. Like I found out this past weekend that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer started off as a marketing campaign for Montgomery Wards. Like, oh, so that's not even a traditional holiday story. It's something that started in the 40s. I mean, I guess it is, but it isn't. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, Montgomery Wards. Okay. And then you just find out everything else about the tree. And it's like, okay. And then, we all know Jesus' birthday is not during this time right here. It's actually more so in the spring than it is the summer. It's like, okay, so what's really going on here? Seriously.
What's going on is mankind. It's mankind, but for those who take on the meaning of Christmas in the sense of the story and the giving of love and they do it every day. They just hone in, like, it's okay to be Black in February, that kind of thing. When they give us permission to celebrate that we are women.
We ain't waiting until February. Actually, there's an actual trend on TikTok that I did partake of, and I do like it. It's called a Black Girl Train. And what it is it's a follow me, follow you back format, but it's to help increase our numbers on TikTok. So I spent a good majority of the day yesterday just, following people and following back, because I've been stuck at like 800 likes, followers on TikTok for the longest. And in order to go live, you got to have at least 1,000. And when I get bored, I look at some people's lives. People got lives of them sleeping. They got lives of them doing their makeup, just some strange stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I could sit here and talk live for a second. So I went to bed last night. I was like 8:56. When I woke up this morning, I was at 9:35. So I'm close. I'm getting close to that 1,000. So I can do more lives. So I can just have more conversations with people. That's number one. And number two, it's a whole different audience on TikTok. TikTok is more of your younger generation, although there's a lot of elders on TikTok. I'm not going to say older demographically. It's young people, but there's some elders on there. I'll be watching like, okay, I see you. And so it's just a whole nother market, Facebook, Instagram, they have and TikTok, they all have different people that attract to you, but we do have to do all three of them. And I know I got to get the Elizabeth conference up on TikTok because it's a whole nother platform. So we follow each other. So by me following other people, they're following me. The growth, that's how I got that much growth in the span of a couple of hours. So, and I followed so many people yesterday that TikTok was like, you can't follow no more people today, which is like, oh, you guys are watching. Okay. Good morning, Star, Grand Rising Star.
That you cannot?
You can,
you?
yeah, they have a cap. I don't know how many people you can follow, but they have a cap. What is it?
When you say
follow, like there's a conspiracy theory that they don't want us to follow and support each other. So they, you sit there after about, I don't know how many people, but it's like, okay, you're following too many people too fast. Hold on. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they probably want you to spread it so that instead of, because some people could probably sit there and do 200 in a day, just sitting there doing that. Just like on Facebook, when I'm posting and going to different sites, it'll say, okay, that's enough, that's enough. So that I spread it out, I guess.
No, I know it's not so much, I don't know, but it's like, I just never seen that before. I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Go to another.
Yeah, but the biggest one is, the most popular is, and I've seen people do lives and see their families and everything like that. And you just be sitting there like, well, how come I'm not live? Oh, because I got to get up to it. It's the only platform that we have to get up to 1,000 followers. And I do encourage all of the Elizabeths to actually, make sure that we're all following each other on social media and liking and sharing and tagging each other, because it makes a huge difference with that algorithm. And I think it's like 20 main Elizabeths right now. I know when we get back to doing our trainings, we're gonna really dive deep in getting to doing stuff. And the beauty about it is, a lot of the content that you already have, that you've already posted on Facebook and Instagram, you can just upload to TikTok. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything different than what you're doing now. So that's what I like about it, is that I can go back and put up old content. If I get bored, I can go old, you got the iPhone, you got over 40,000 pictures and videos over the span of like 6-7 years. We can afford to go back. Like when I really can't think of anything, it's like, oh, let me just go find an old video and just put this up here.
Yeah.
Because social media is going to be what's going to be driving a lot of people to the Elizabeth conference that we have coming up in May. So, we're going to get excited and we're going to get it out there. And I'm like, I just befriended a whole new bunch of friends. And I'm like, I'm going to support them and I'm going to get them to support me as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I know my guest is running a little bit late. She and her family overcoming, some winter ill, so I know she's coming on soon, but I'm excited about Kwanzaa. What I'm finding out, it's important for people to share your knowledge and share your history. I have an Uncle Walter. Uncle John. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of his name. And I didn't know how heavy into African culture these men were until their passing. And my Uncle John's obituary was phenomenal. That was a very accomplished man, but didn't know he spoke Swahili, didn't know like all this stuff. And I'm sitting here looking like very African-centered. Didn't know he was that African-centered. He was an academic because he had a PhD, but in physics. And just imagine the conversation. Every time he came around, it was a school lesson. It was like, what are you learning in school? And let me show you this, and be showing me some kind of mathematic equation. I'm sitting here looking like, you think yourself, what the hell is this? Just really like he was on a whole different level. And then when my Uncle Walter passed away earlier this year, his whole funeral was African centered, and I had never seen anything. Where they had almost like they had the altar set of his casket top set up like an altar, but it had fruits and vegetables and stuff on top of it, which, our culture, I'm used to having the flowers. And I'm just looking like, once again, his obituary, these two men actually were at the first, celebrated the first Kwanzaa, because I know Kwanzaa was created in California. I know it was started in the 60s. And the gentleman's name, name is escaping me, they actually were colleagues with him. So I'm sitting here like, why did it take for them to pass away for me to find out that y'all was like around history when this stuff happened? I felt some kind of way about that. I'm like, okay. So they've been celebrating Kwanzaa for well over 40 years and they never introduced it into our family. And I felt that was so amazing. And she is actually here. She can just smile. She don't have to say anything right now, Miss Adrienne over there. And so I feel like I'm the one that really celebrates it, because I really do incorporate African everything into somehow in my daily life. But the rest of my family is still like, that African, and realize we're African American, but they're like, that's African. But we talk about the birth of Christ all the time, and we talked about Jesus, Santa Claus, and all that other stuff. But when it comes to Kwanzaa, it's like it's a side eye, and I don't quite understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when, and like I said, my elders, please talk to us, tell us about your lives, because like I said, that really struck a chord when I found out that those two, that they celebrated this like every single day. And I'm just sitting here like, y'all never said anything about this. Nothing. It was like, go find out for yourself and read a book. But I'm like, you live in this. How come you ain't teaching me this? And you live in this. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, I have this beautiful role as being TT, auntie, which if you guys know, if you ever watch Nigerian movies or anything African, TT and auntie and uncle is a term of endearment in African culture. They will auntie and uncle you, what is it? As a term of endearment, as a term of sign of respect. And so I feel like the nieces and nephews that I have acquired, I need to somebody needs to start teaching them something, whether they use it or not. They should still at least have the knowledge and still be like, somebody sat down and actually taught me this, instead of be like, okay, I think you need to go read a book while you're actually sitting here living this. So I just encourage that whatever knowledge that you're getting, that you're sharing, not only with your kids, but you're sharing it with your nieces, your nephews, your grandkids, everybody. Because like I said, to sit there and find out that these people actually was there when Kwanzaa was started, and y'all didn't say nothing, and y'all didn't try to incorporate, I thought that was so interesting. I was like, wow. Like, you sitting there like, wow, okay.
I think one of the challenges, Danielle, is intruding, although that's a very powerful word, intruding on someone else's children, and how they raised their children. I had there's a family, one of the families connected with us. If you bring up anything about the ancestors, if you bring anything about Kwanzaa, anything about Africa, anything other than Jesus Christ, they get up and leave, and he takes his whole family with him. And so as people have their own children, it's like having to respect where they're coming from and their teaching. So if they're Christian or they're Muslim or they're whatever, there's the challenge of wanting to teach what you know to others, and their children. And
Let me ask you a question. Wouldn't that be a conversation among the adults as just like a good sign of respect? Like, hey, sis, kind of just want to introduce the kids to this right here. I'm not trying to train or persuade them or anything, but just give them another knowledge, another viewpoint, another something, or be like, this is a part of their culture. They should like kind of know something about blah, 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 blah. Wouldn't I mean, I would just think that you would.
If they're open to that, I know that one of the things that I am going to do this year, I mean, next year in life period, is that what you're saying is so true. I would like for my family to know one another. Do you know, like let's say, whether you college bound, you went to college or whatever, but things that are interesting are of interest to other people. Like I don't know what my nieces and nephews are into, as far as what they're interested. My husband is so deep into the science of not as astrology, but the stars, and he can break all of those things, the galaxies and stuff, but there's no room for conversation or no room that has been made. So I know this, and I don't even, I was surprised at the depth of what he knows about all of that. Fame does not know that. The grandkids, of course, the little ones, but the older ones, the nieces and nephews don't know, because there's not that time. You remember when I don't know if when families came together and sat at the table together for dinner, where there is the time to talk. Now everybody sits at their own table in their own room. Everybody's there's no table, there's no sitting, where we all come together to talk and stuff. So everybody is doing their own thing. And because of this, you could be into anything on here and you can get into your world and without having to share your world with your family, because you got a new family here.
Mm-hmm.
Those
I remember that. I remember that. And I think that's why to this day, I don't mind sitting at the feet of my elders' table or being around elders, because I grew up. First of all, I grew up with a Southern grandmother, and a child is going to stay in the place of a child, and you don't interrupt grown folks' business. So if you're in the room, you're just in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you was like quiet and not seen until you get to hear everything.
Yeah.
And so it's like I grew up like that. And you're right. I do miss sitting at the dining room table. I really do. I miss having conversations with people. And like you said, I have an aunt. She's like, I don't understand this ancestor thing. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Not realizing that Jesus Christ is the most overused ancestor, period. If you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it.
Right.
And so she was like, I don't get it. But yet you guys flew from Jacksonville, Florida to come up here and celebrate your father's 100th birthday. It would have been his 100th birthday. But you guys are coming together to celebrate your deceased father's 100th birthday as a family. And y'all had cake, y'all had a party, you guys did. I'm like, you're honoring your ancestor. Like I told her, unbeknownst to you, you are ancestor honoring.
Right, right.
But the moment you say ancestor, it's a disconnect, but it's like, but you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? You guys are breaking bread. You guys are having dinner. I mean, they had how my family, the Claxton family does the holiday dinner. Is exactly what they turned into a weekend. That's exactly what you did. And she got the most, it's like the life out of her face just drained, because they still think that honoring ancestors is something demonic. And I'm like, it's not. I'm like, a lot of the stuff we've been doing innately, you know what I'm saying? Like I grew up in Detroit with a false mantle in my grandmother's house. And on that mantle was every last picture, cousin, you know what I'm saying? And you'd be standing there one day, it's like, okay, so who is that person? Well, that's my mother, that's my cousin, that's this, that's that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, we put our prized possessions on that mantle, which would be trophies and diplomas and all this other.
Mm-hmm.
We have an ancestor altar. Like we've been doing an ancestor altar all this time and didn't even know it. When people pass away and you watch the movies and everything, they'd be like, I'm pouring one out for the homies. No, you're doing libations. Like we've been doing this stuff. Some of the stuff is ingrained in our DNA. And it's like, we don't even know what we're doing until somebody points out that you're doing it. And you're just like, oh, okay. So she she was mortified when I told her, you do realize you're honoring your ancestor, right? Like it's no different from anything that you're watching on TV. And she was just, that scared her to death. And then it's like, anytime me and my cousin mention ancestors, it's a stigma. And I'm like, but we do it all the time. Even if you're sitting down talking about your grandparents, talking about how you grew up, the stories, and everything like that.
Yeah.
The one of the movies I love is Coco, because Coco does a beautiful job of showing you the importance of honoring your ancestors and how they still live on the spirit realm. You know what I'm saying? And they said that when people stop mentioning their names, that's when they start disappearing on the spirit realm. And I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And you literally see one of the characters, he's like, I'm fading away. And then he disappears because nobody in his bloodline on this realm. I was like, oh, okay. And then they show it in the movies and then realize that that's not just a Latino culture, that's African culture. You know what I'm saying? That's our culture. So yeah, I love sitting at the table. I love sitting at people's feet. I love listening and hearing the culture, because this year that uncle that passed away, my uncle Walter, is the last line of my grandmother's branch. And that right there it's like powerful and it's scary at the same time, because that means her and all her brothers and sisters, they're all ancestors now. They're like, living wise, that branch is gone. Now my aunts and uncles, that's weird. My aunts and uncles are now the new elders. I'm just like, okay, so now I'm committed to getting the stories, to getting the information, to getting everything. Even on my dad's side, my dad was born one of 19. Yes, I said it, one of 19. And out of the 19 children, 6 are left. So, getting this information is so highly important, because I've become the family historian and the family, getting information. I have been dubbed the official DNA helper. For my elders, they'll call me up, be like, I got the kid, can you come over and help me? Sure, I'm coming over, because not only do I get to do this with you, I get to find out more information about you. My uncle Michael passed away earlier this summer. He asked me to do his kit with him in February. He got his results in March. And in that time, I got a chance to sit down and talk to him, and found out he was married once before, found out he was in the Army, found out that he was a photographer. I mean, I found out a lot of stuff just sitting there helping him with this kit that otherwise I never would have found out, until his passing. So yeah, I'm committed to getting the rest of my family, getting their DNA and getting our family history and our family tree together. And I do want to say Grand Rising to everybody, because I see more people popping up on here. Good morning, Bridget. Grand Rising, Adrienne.
Grand Rising. Good morning, my sisters.
Grand Rising. Welcome, welcome. This your first time coming in, huh? Adrienne?
You're still muted.
Sorry. Yes. Grand Rising, everyone.
Yes, yes. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So
Bridget,
yeah.
Bridget looks so cool with her bangs and her, like she just came off of a movie set.
This is how you feel and you look when you are rested on a day off or 3 days off. I just woke up, I was like, oh my God, the show was on.
Yeah.
So, Adrienne, I'm gonna introduce you to everybody. First of all, today she's Sheila Everette-Hale. Normally she has the tag of yeah. What is it? She created this back in April, and it's a show that comes on 5 days a week. It's a couple of different of us, sisters, and we talk about everything. Health and wellness, movement, spirituality, creativity. It's everything that goes on Monday through Friday. And she has the pleasure of having me start this off every single Monday, which I've grown to love. I've literally changed my whole schedule around Monday, just so I could sit here and be of service. And, this is definitely a movement. It's something we're called Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, as Queen Aduni so eloquently explains it to people, is go back to the story of Mary and Elizabeth. And so when Mary got around Elizabeth, their babies leaped because Mary was carrying John. And so basically, we're a bunch of women who are pregnant with vision and passion. And when we get together, our babies leap. And we help each other actually deliver our babies to fruition, whatever that baby may be. And see, when she thought of this, and I thought of Kwanzaa and everything, it's like, you know what, I'm going to have my sister on, this beautiful, powerful woman who, I've grown to know for the last 3 years, 4 years. And I've watched and I've seen her birth at least 3 babies since I've known you. I've seen you at least give birth to 3. Because I know you're a fabulous author. You're a great mother. You're also a grandmother, which is weird to say because we are like 2 or 3 years away in age. But also you're an educator as well. You do so many things. And, she's also a great mentor and listener, woman of life. Because I'm around my Elizabeth, but I'm a sandwich. I'm like 40, got 30 and 20-year-olds underneath me, and then I got my 50, 60, and 70-year-olds around me, but I don't have a whole lot of 40-year-olds right there, with me. And so, we see things from different perspectives, but I wanted to have you on, especially when I went back and looked like, oh, this is about unity and then sisterhood and all this other stuff. I'm like, she really is my sister. We're not in the law part yet, but I will claim her as my sister. So I give it to you. This is Miss Adrienne Edwards, and she's absolutely amazing. And you can go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you're getting over the stuff, but it's like, we here. Welcome. This is what we do Monday mornings.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be a part of the sisterhood. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me.
We hear you.
Okay, good. I turned my volume up a little bit. Yes, I'm getting over a viral infection. I've gotten over the flu 2 weeks ago. So this month has been full of sickness in my household. So I told Danielle, I got up, I'm like, okay, I got to get the link and everything. Try to stay on as long as I can. My voice still hurts. It's still hard for me to swallow, but nonetheless, I have life, and it's beautiful thing to be around other people that are speaking life and speaking sisterhood. I love anything that is about having a sisterhood of connection. And like Danielle said, we are sisters. She is my spirit. I consider her my spiritual sister. And I'm thankful for, you just asking me to come on just to see what everything is about. And also she is the person that has been my tool guide, if you will, on celebrating Kwanzaa. This is something that I wanted to do years ago. My oldest is 26, and she's actually on her way over here now with my grandbaby, but I wanted to do this when she was in elementary, 5th grade. She had to be in 5th or 6th. And everybody else also. I have 5 children. And I love to take them to WC3 when they used to put on the cultural events that they had at the school and everything. I was always fascinated about our culture. I never had anyone to push me forward. But I will say this, I believe that when I got a divorce from my first husband, I feel like that was my first spiritual rebirth, if you will, because that's when I started learning, excuse me, learning who I was. I believe that my creator began to help me along this process, and I did not even know it. This is when I started embracing my natural hair. This is when I started embracing wearing my cultural attire. This is when I started putting cultural pieces on my wall and having cultural pieces on my tables and things like that. Um, that was one phase. I've been married now to my soulmate. I guess it's 12 years. He always remembers more than I do. I'm starting to lose count, but between 11 and 12 years. And I feel like I'm able to be myself with my husband. I met him with my afro and my turbans and my long, he called them Little House on a Prairie skirts. And so I thank my creator for allowing me to be married to someone that embraced my cultural identity, and we're both on the path of learning who we are. So one of the things that I just recently did, and I told Danielle, is that because she knows how long I've been trying to do this with me and my brother, but I finally got the ancestor kit that she was speaking of. I got the African ancestor kit and I got the ancestor kit. I also purchased one for my husband, who he opened it up yesterday for Christmas, so that he knows where his line is from. I got one for my son, my oldest son that stays with me, not my oldest son that I have because he's in Washington, but I also got one for him. And so we're all on this path of learning and finding out who our cultural lineage is tied to. So it's a big thing. We're also celebrating Kwanzaa this year for our first year, finally. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Danielle helping me with that. And as an educator and as someone that just got passed a mantle from my mom, who passed away this year, in May. I did not want the mantle at all, but like my brother said, it's you have it and you have to embrace it. And one of the ways of me embracing that mantle is me teaching my children and also my grandchildren, making them a part of learning their cultural identity, allowing them to see that, you know, their grandmother and grandfather celebrate Kwanzaa. And one thing I heard you say earlier today, Danielle, about a family maybe thinking it is something that, you know, we don't speak of or taboo. I think about taboo when you were talking about it. Is that Kwanzaa, what I've learned so far is that Kwanzaa is not a political or religious celebration. It is a cultural celebration. And I believe that sometimes we get, as Black people, we are so embedded to our religious beliefs that we believe that if anyone talks to us about anything other than our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, if the Bible, then it's taboo. If it's anything other than that, then it's taboo. But I'm thankful to you, Danielle, for helping me navigate something that I've been trying to do for years. When I got my kit, one thing that they said with the ancestry kit is, and I haven't opened it up yet because, and I have it right here, hold on, is because I've been sick and I don't want to do the kit while I'm sick. So it's like soon as after I finished having my body getting over the flu, I got this, but I have my ancestry kit here. And I'm really happy that I have it. My husband has his now. And as soon as I know that I'm better, I'm going to take it. But when I called them, because my husband's kit did not show up, they sent out another kit.
Oh, wow.
They sent out another kit because the other one did not come. And, you know, the mail, I just believe maybe because it says ancestry DNA on it, I believe it was taken because it doesn't come in a disclosed box. It shows you what it is. So it could have been someone took it thinking, hey, I wanted to do this too. Let me go ahead and grab it. So it's like I got one sent to me, but the other one never came. But they sent it out for free. Also, he said, I see that you have been with us since 2013, which shows you how long I've been trying to do this kit. I started the profile online in 2013 with my mother, who was alive at that time, and my grandmother, who had just passed 3 years prior, I believe. But now that I'm on this path, and my oldest son, who stays in Washington, we talk together, and I help him update his site also because he's doing it as well. And he just took his kit as well. So I believe that as a Black people, we have to have people that are, one, not afraid to talk to us about our cultural identity, and telling us the importance of it as we're young, when we're young. I know this is something I always wanted to do, but I didn't have anybody to really talk to about it. Well, I guess I didn't, or I didn't ask. I didn't ask, and I should have. And I taught my son, which was really awesome. The one that's 17 that just did the African ancestry, the patriarch test. He said I told him my story that I called my grandfather when I was younger in middle school, and I pretended to have a history paper that I had to do. And I told him this family tree is something that was a part of my grade. It wasn't. I lied. I don't know why I couldn't just ask my grandfather, hey, where are we from? Who? So I act as if it was about school. So he was talking to me about it. So it just goes to show you how far back I've been interested. My son said, Mom, do you know in middle school, I learned also about knowing your ancestor and having an ancestry kit. His teacher told him about it. And I thought it was funny. I said, oh my God, really? And he said that he's been interested since he was in middle school. So I think that this is like you said, it's a movement. And it's a movement of families deciding that this is important and not even realizing. I think, like you were saying earlier, Danielle, I think sometimes people don't realize that your children or grandchildren or your great-grandchildren are interested, one, in hearing about your story, or two, interested that you hold the mantle as our elders to talk to us about certain things. This is something that I'm moving towards with my children and definitely my grandchildren. I feel like I have to do this with my grandchildren because it is important. So again, thank you for that, Danielle, and thank you for having me and being a part of your sister circle today, this morning.
I thank you for joining us, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing the research, and I love the fact that your family's getting involved. For me, like I said, I always sat around the people, and I heard stories, and there's stuff that didn't make any sense, and you're just sitting there like, okay, but try to be far removed. I have an uncle. My grandmother's from Birmingham, Alabama, so she's one of those people that you might say something and you get an off the wall answer that made you think, and you be sitting there like, what the heck did she just say? Like, I'll be like, Grandma, I don't see any chair. I don't have a place to sit. She'll be like, you can sit on your fist and ride back on your thumb. And you be sitting there like, okay, now I understand what she was probably saying, but it was like, huh? And so I have an uncle, my Uncle Andre, which is her son, actually created a game. And it's funny that it's right here. This man actually created a whole game called Cliche around the sayings of my grandmother, and just collected a whole bunch of other sayings. And just how people have influence in your life, it was my uncle that got me into marketing, because he would take me to the meetings with the graphic designer and would be like, okay, we got 4 different colors. Which one you think will go here? I remember the test marketing. I remember the whole family being in his basement actually putting the games together. I remember he took me to Oakland Mall with the kiosk and was selling the game during the holiday season. Like, everything that you do in marketing, I got real life working with him. And this is all based around, sayings that my grandmother would say or other people would actually say. And I'm just like, wow. And that's just culturally, that's part of our culture. You know what I'm saying? Just being around, around that. So, and it is fun to be able to be around other people to share with it too. Because sometimes you'd be like, okay, I have nobody else but Sheila and Mama Evelyn to talk to about this, but they're not here right now. So I'm glad that what is it? That they're getting involved and everything like that. So me too. I started my ancestry account in 2005 when my paternal grandmother passed away. Because like I said, by the time I got to college, I would have people come up to me, you're a Claxton. Are you related to so-and-so? Are you related to so-and-so? Remember, it was 19 of them. And it's like, I guess, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you get tired of things. So now I'm glad that I actually, at least I can put faces together, not necessarily names, because I swear it's like over 400 of us closely related. And it's like, well, let me see a face. Now I'm at the point where let me see, yeah, I've seen that person at the dinner, or I've seen that person in the group. Yeah, I'm related to them. Not just because we have the same last name, but at least I know, yeah, I'm truly related to them because we have the same blood. I want to know, so how are you incorporating some of the principles of Kwanzaa into your celebration this year?
Okay, so one of the things that we are doing is so we have our table up, and I meant to send it to you. The other day I was just really groggy from the medicine, but I'm like, I wonder if I send it to her, then I want to go to sleep. But we have our table done already. One of the things that we are going to do is talk about how we feel like we can service our communities. One thing that I know that I've always loved to do is mentoring, as you mentioned, with young girls. That's something that I feel like God gave me. It's something that I will always love to do, but I want to see how my children see themselves in a service. What type of service is it that we can always give back to? One, I hope, and my son that's in Washington was talking about this when we were talking a few days ago, when he was talking about the different businesses, adventures that we have. And he's like, Mom, you're doing this, sister is doing this. He said, my wife does this. He said she wants to open up her own, instead of working for someone else, open up her own senior living care. And I said, we need more of those. We need more senior care facilities for our seniors. So I'm grateful. It seems like our services all connect and bridging a gap. So one is working, we're talking about on our day of service, we're going to talk about how my son and his wife is looking to open up a facility for senior care living, and how my youngest daughter, Elena, just opened up her daycare center for young kids. So she just got that. So that's how she's utilizing her degree that she has, is making sure that she didn't, because that's what she did when I was 20 something. When I had her in daycare as preschool, her daycare facility, I searched for one that didn't just watch your children, but taught. So the person that actually was in charge of the daycare center I chose, years later, I had her as a teacher. I had never knew when my children were in daycare right across from Northland Center, because that's where I worked at in the management office at Northland Mall. They were right across the street in the Northland Towers. And that owner also was a professor at WC3. And I didn't know until years later, like I said, I went through my divorce, that she had her teaching degree. That's why she had a ceremony for preschool students that were graduating from preschool. She was able to do that because she had her degree. So that's what my daughter is doing, Elena. Devon is doing the senior care. And of course, I'm bridging the gap where it comes to students that's in secondary education. And also something that I have on the plate that I was supposed to do this year, but with my mom's health failing, I wasn't able to quite do, but there's something else that I want to do to connect with our city and get them to be able to read more and putting books in front of children more. That's something that I'm working towards, and hopefully this next coming year is something that I'm able to do. So that's one of the things that we're doing. When the last day when we get together, we're going to talk about our ancestors, and we're going to acknowledge them. We're going to name something that they did or said that we would be able to take on for the rest of our lives. How can we incorporate, whether it was a golden nugget, I call it, a word of wisdom, or something that they did, how can we carry that on? So everyone is bringing a dish on January 1st, on the last day. We're bringing a dish, and it's supposed to represent something that you're used to eating that reminds you of your cultural identity. So my children asked me to bring lasagna, and I'm like, I don't want to bring lasagna because I know they love when I make lasagna, but I want to do red beans and rice. So this is what I said. I said, you know what? I'm still going to do red beans and rice. That reminds me of my mother, which also reminds me of my grandmother. I'm going to bring that dish in representation of them. And I have to bring the lasagna because I thought about it. That is something that my children connect to me with. So it's like I can't just bring something that I believe connects me to my mother and my grandmother, but I'm bringing this dish as me living, as a living soul to the table, that they can remember, that represents me, I guess. And we're going to exchange gifts. It has to be something that represents your culture some way. Like for instance, for my husband, I got him a medallion, an African medallion. My grandchildren, they're not a part of the gift exchange, of course, because they're so small, but as a grandmother, to incorporate, I've been knitting them a scarf that has the colors red, green, and black. So both of my grandchildren, Aaliyah and Zion, will have that knitted scarf that represents their culture.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So you said that everybody is bringing a dish that connects them to their ancestors, correct?
Yes, whether it's connected to me or connected to their grandparent. Most of their dishes, like my husband, he said he was going to bring something. And before I could say it, Lena says, "Dad, no, you should be cooking the chili chicken." And he looked, he says, "Oh, right." I said, "You're right. You said your grandmother made that and your mother." So he was like, "All right, I'll do the chili chicken." So for my children, like Asia's bringing cornbread, which is in a lot of our Black culture, right? Asia's bringing cornbread, but it doesn't represent my mother. For her, it represents me. So it's okay to bring something that you believe represents your living mother. But I'm the person that's incorporating the majority of my mother and grandmother on top of me bringing a dish that they're used to me cooking.
So can I make two suggestions? One,
Yeah.
I think you should compile, if not a recipe book, I think it'd be cool if you made everybody like read the recipe and be like, okay, this is like starting at the start of like the family recipe book, because that's everything that's connecting everybody.
We have a journal. Me and Lena decided, and she's the one that told me that she said, "We need your recipes, Mom, and you should get it all in a book." I said, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, like a recipe journal?" She said, "Yeah." So that's something that we are starting. So yes.
Okay. And then I'm like, if you guys are ready, because I know this is going to another step. The most fanciest dish that you have, plate that you have in your house, before anybody gets served, take a little bit of everything that everybody brings and put on that plate.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you have like a huge dining room table or just a space that's that's unto itself. But
you've seen our dining room table. It's long. It's very long. It don't even have a leaf in it. It's already long without the leaf.
Well, okay. So what I'm saying is, you just want to find the space, because I know how I am. I have no shame. I will have that one seat that's reserved for the unknown and the unseen who are already there. I don't
Mhm.
know how everybody else may feel about that, but
Mhm.
just put that plate in that one spot, you know what I'm saying, with a glass of water. And
Yep.
that's your offering to the ancestors that you guys are honoring.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
we've
it's
done
like,
that before. We've
what
done
you
that
say?
before. We've done it before, but like you said, no one really told us that's exactly what we're doing. My mother believed in that. My mother believed in, so ours was on a spiritual side for like this just we call it the spiritual side, but my mom would have dishes set out on her table all the time, all the time. It was plate, silverware, the saucer, the cup. Didn't have food on it, but it was all the time. And I used to do that. I used to always have a plate and saucer and a drinking mug set on my table. And I would keep it there. And I used to have a chair in my house before we moved here that no one ever sat in when we stayed in our other houses. From Nottingham to Weyburn, there's always a chair. I still have the chair. No one ever sits in that chair. So I can definitely do that. I don't think that's taboo at all.
And I have a quick question. I'm gonna ask everybody, what ritual, what habit, what something that somebody, your mom or your grandma used to do and you do in your household that it wasn't talked about? You didn't ask questions, but later you found out it was some sort of, I guess, African ritual or something that was tied to the culture that you didn't even know was tied to the culture.
So when my mom did that, it was tied to religious belief, right? So it was something that was taught by our her bishop at the time and her mother superior. So that was more of a religious setting, a plate out for like the saint, like we believed in the saints of a month. And it's an ironing to me that we can believe easily something that the church tells us, but we forget years and years ago, centuries ago, there were things when we were brung over here and when we were taught the religion here. What I've learned is that same church is who stripped away the original meaning for a lot of things, if I can say that. So yes, there are still things I believe in my spiritual sense, when it comes to my religious beliefs. But I tie it in and I say, you know what? I was taught that, I believe that, but I never believed, and it's because no one ever told us, that you can also do that. Because if we can believe in a, I'll just give this as an example. If I can believe in a saint that was once living, why can't I believe in my ancestors who were once living? That's the irony that I came up by, with myself, without someone telling me that I had to do this or do it that way, or thinking everything is taboo. I learned, good morning. I learned that a lot of our ancestral cultural, they stripped away from us by telling us that it was taboo, telling us that it was witchcraft. And that is something I've just been learning for the last 3 years. And it's since I've met you, Danielle. The more I dig into different things, the more I see how much of our cultural identity was stripped away, and how they decided to use certain things in parts and take away the other part that they didn't want. So when it comes to doing the dinners or setting a plate to the side, that's why I said I know that I'm going to do that because I believed in it in the spiritual realm of me doing this, even with saints. If I can do it with them, I can definitely do it for my ancestors. And when you talk to me and my sister about it, some months ago when my mom passed, I already knew that was something I had no problem in doing.
I have to mention something about your mom's passing because it was the same. You guys had her memorial on the same day that we do a Dasi here in Detroit. It was the same exact day.
Sure.
And I know me and Greg had decided to do a Dossie before everything had happened. And I was like, well, do you want to do both? Because that was a long day. That was a long day. But we did do a Dossie first thing in the morning.
Mm.
And it was his first time. It was his first time going to a Dossie. Now, for those on the show who don't know what a Dossie is it is a celebration of it's really a celebration it started off as a celebration for the slaves that didn't make it from Africa to here. Is to honor them, those spirits that didn't make it over the ocean. It has turned into an overall community ancestral celebration. And typically these celebrations happen all throughout the what is it? I'm gonna say not necessarily the world, but definitely the Americas, the South Americas, the Caribbean, anywhere where slaves came over through the Middle Passage, and anywhere where there's a body of water, because obviously we're nowhere near the ocean, so we do ours on the Detroit River, and it's become a community ancestral celebration. This year was his first year going, and it just happens to fall on the same exact day that we honored your mom's passing. And when I tell you, Queen Aduna, you've been to a Dossie, you were there. I forgot, I hugged you because you and Star were there. There is they do the I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's absolutely gorgeous, all dressed in white. What I loved is that it is a beautiful coming together of family, because I saw a lot of families. They will come out with them blankets. The kids would be dressed in white. The babies would be dressed in white. People come with pictures of their ancestors. People come with offerings and fruit and different things that go on the raft to honor the ancestors. It is one of the most spiritual and beautiful rituals that I love doing every single year. I was going because Mama Evelyn, you've done a Dossie, haven't you?
Yes.
And Queen of Duty, I know, that wasn't your first, was this year your first year? Really? I didn't know that. You and Star, I didn't know this year was your first year.
Yeah, I have pictures of that. I have videos of that I need to get it because of my phone. I can't upload because it's whatever. But yeah, I have the whole ceremony when they danced, when they walked in from the you're talking about Belle-Isle, right?
Yeah.
But when they lead in with the drums and the sister singing, the leader, I have that whole thing right here.
But I didn't know it was your first time there. I saw you and Star there. I was geeked and excited. And it's almost like there's almost like a mini pre-family reunion in the community, because you see, especially we ain't seen people in like 2 years. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have it in 2 years. And it's like, that was such a what's the word I'm looking for? Divine moment for both of those events to be on the same exact day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I got off into a Dossie, but okay. It does fit into the whole ties of unity and everything of that nature. But yeah. I'm trying to figure out where to go with this, because it's a lot to go with this. Oh, I'm gonna go back and ask the group the question, because I was asking everybody in the group, was there a particular rite or ritual or something that somebody in your family did that you didn't know until after you start digging into the culture, that it was actually something cultural that they probably didn't even know was cultural, but they were still doing it?
I don't have an answer for that.
Oh no, that was Siri's. I wasn't asking Siri, but okay. I'll go. When you talked about how detached we are from even talking to my own ancestors, I didn't learn about ancestors when my mom was here. But I do know when times got extremely hard and tough, I've heard her cry out and pray to her father. Now, I grew up denominational Christian, so you used to Father God and everything like that. But when she really felt like she was really going through, she would call upon her father to, to come through, to come, and she was a daddy's girl. So I understand that that was her rock. That was, the person that came that made stuff happen. And so, unbeknownst to me, I sat back and realized, oh, when shit started hitting the fan, she would call upon her father to come help her out.
Mhm.
And he was an ancestor. I'm sorry to say, I should say that he had passed away some time ago. So I noticed that, and it wasn't. It's like, wait a minute, that was you was calling upon an ancestor. You didn't even know it. And I'm like, okay, like anything like that. Like I said, I mentioned the mantle, how we have these mantles that have these pictures of these ancestors and everything. Every household I know had a picture, had a mantle, had people on there.
With if I can say something real quick, because you mentioned that, what I noticed is that I didn't, in my household, we never had anything. I know that my brother told me that my Aunt Henry Lee is the one who had all the pictures. Um, I was so young when I went over her house, I don't even remember it. But nonetheless, my family from my mom, like we never had pictures of family on the wall, never. And the other day I was really going through missing my mom 2 days ago, and my husband told me to open up one of my presents. And I did, and it really helped me because one of the goals that I had was to get more pictures on the wall. So he had pictures of his father, his um, stepfather that passed away this March. And I was happy to see that pictures of our wedding day with his mom and his stepfather in the picture with us for our wedding day. We never had those pictures. We never had his mother, his father, my father on our wall. And that's something I'm trying to get on our wall. So before Thanksgiving, I told myself, I'm not going to wait until Kwanzaa to celebrate and have pictures out. I remember you telling me, make sure I have, a picture out. I wasn't going to wait until then to get the pictures. I said, no, I need to get these pictures up now. So like you were talking about with the pictures, I told my children and showed them the video in our group chat, and they was like, oh, that is so awesome. And it's because I want my children to see family on the wall. I want them to see our grandmother on the wall. So we're still collecting pictures and putting them on the wall so that we have them. And I think it's very important that that's one of the first steps that we have to acknowledge is important to have in every Black household, is to have a picture of our ancestors, pictures of grandparents while they're here, and then pictures of those that have moved on. And the grandchildren are the ones that should continue to collect those pictures, because where are we? Where do we go once we have no pictures? We don't, and like we're all doing these ancestor links. We don't have any pictures for some people because it wasn't a thing to collect pictures in some households. It was, some people don't like for you to take pictures of them, and it's really the truth. Some people tell them, do not take a picture of me. And I was reading something one day, this wasn't this year, and someone had passed away, and they said they had no pictures of their mom. And she was explaining how it hurt because she was not able to acknowledge her mom or have pictures of her, even for the obituary, because she always said she didn't like people taking pictures of her. And it becomes a thing because we are conscious about what we look like and, things like that. But that falls in line with making sure that we start saying why we need these pictures. We need to make sure that you still exist in more than one way. So I took pictures of my mom before I just kept taking them. I knew in my spirit, I didn't have any pictures. I had some, but not many of my mom. And I knew I needed to start taking more pictures. I don't know what happened to those pictures. I really feel like I do know what happened, because after she passed away, I reached out to one of the family members, like, do you guys have any pictures of my mom? Come to find out, someone is sending me pictures that once belonged to me. And I'm like, how did they get these pictures? Those were, I'm like, wow, these were my pictures. So those pictures of my mom. I took all the time when I was little. I was always capturing pictures. I'm going to take a picture of everybody. I always love to see family. So those pictures I don't have, unfortunately. Someone said, oh, these are the paper versions. They can't be the paper versions because how did they even get the original versions? My mom didn't even have that. That was mine. So I'm kind of, I told my brother and my sister how I think they got the pictures, but I cried. I had no pictures. People kept saying, I don't have any pictures of your mom. I don't have any pictures of your mom. And I cried because I knew I took all those pictures of my mom when she was in her youth. So I have more pictures of her older than I do when I took them when I was in middle school and high school of her.
Mm. You know, I had an uncle that, I think I shared this before, when my mom passed away, he just sat at the dining room table with his computer. Like nobody knew exactly what he was doing, but he was at that computer for like days. And one of my uncles and uncles accused him of, he was scanning something. Like, you know how you pay attention, but you're not paying attention? He was scanning the photo albums. And then out of a fit of rage, somebody said something like, you're not doing anything, and how you can just sit at the table and you're over there stealing pictures and blah, 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 blah. And he turned around. He turned his computer around without saying any words. My uncle sat there and he wrote my mom's obituary. Nobody asked him to do it. He wrote the obituary and he designed the obituary. So he was scanning all the pictures of her onto his computer to create not only the obituary, but also the slideshow, to the point where that sister who said something, she had to
shut her mouth,
follow her words real quick.
Yeah.
And so he actually sat there and just, because he was first of all, he was the writer of the family. So it was just like instantly, this is what you have, what you put. And so, yeah. And that started me wanting to start scanning all of our old pictures, get them on a digital form. Because on my dad's side, we have pictures starting from one point up, because the house that they stayed at on French Road caught on fire. So because the house caught on fire, all of the old pictures got destroyed. So we got everything up to a certain point, and then it's like it goes beyond that. So I'm all for getting everything digitalized, because especially old black and white photos, just all kind of stuff, getting it digitized. And I think for the family reunions, I got to figure this out because I've never seen this, but setting up a scanning station. I think I want to set up a scan and encourage people to bring family photos to scan in like a family hard drive, so that we can start collecting all these pictures and have them in a digital cloud somewhere, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to have. Picture thieves in family are real. That's a real thing. They would sit there and take your pictures, and it's like, oh no, okay. So I just want to know, is there any questions or comments or anything of that nature? Queen Adu, do you look like you want to say something?
I just want to say my mom was the picture thief in the family. She stole pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, Aunt Florence was that one. She'll tell you that she's gonna steal it too.
It's nice to know I'm not the only one.
Aunt Florence. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, you're not the only one. You're not. But I do remember, speaking of pictures, at my mom's memorial service, there was this guy that walked up to me after everything was said and done. We're going to the repast or whatever. And I had never met this guy. He comes up to me with this manila envelope. And then I'm telling me the story about how he had this, and he had this for years. And when he found out my mom passed, he had to go in the attic and the trunk and everything. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, what the hell is he about to give me? Like, I'm scared now, because you tell me this whole story about how you have to go into the trunk of the attic. That's something that you've been holding on to for like 30 some odd years. And then so he handed me an envelope, and I'm scared to open it. Like, what the heck is this? And it was a picture I had never seen before. And it was a picture of, he said it's good to get people in their younger years. You know, I guess I'll show you. This is a picture that he gave me. It's a bigger picture. It's an 8x11. But I had never seen a picture like that of my mom, like that young.
That's your mom?
Yeah, this is my mom. This is my mom in her 20s.
Beautiful.
I got the bigger picture. Because I was just like, oh, I found that and some other stuff. And then I'll show you another picture because, like I said, my mom passed away suddenly. So they've seen this picture before, but this is on my ancestor altar because this is the last representation of how I saw her while she was still alive. So one of her coworkers gave me this. This is a picture of her the week of her passing. So I think they took the picture on that Monday because she passed that Thursday. So this was taken Monday at work.
Wow, she's so beautiful.
So extremely. So I keep that on my ancestor altar because that's how I see her. But yeah. So one of the things I know today is all about unity, and this is definitely, unity. You've got a chance to meet my other sisters and everything like that. I'm gonna be honest, my Canara still is in storage. I did not get a chance to get it. It's been too cold to go there to find, and I'm gonna find it before this week is out because I do want to light my candles. I do want to say, what is it? Say my libations and everything. But it's been a blessing to do this and to have you join my other sisters here because I'm like, we all form some sort of unity by helping each other birth our babies. And I absolutely love that. I love that everything of it. Yesterday was Mama Evelyn's birthday. You want to know what we did? We did a Zoom dance party for her.
Oh, wow.
We danced for like a good full hour. And I'm like, that was so much fun. I have to say thank you for the Queen of Dooney for putting that together. And Mama Evelyn, I forgot, how young are you again?
I'm entering my 68th year.
Oh
wow. And one thing about Mama Evelyn, she's an artist. She has this company called How Does Your Goddess Grow? She does these fabulous dowel making workshops. She is absolutely amazing with helping people connect artistically. And I know one of my first dowels that I did with her was when I was in a spiritual sisterhood program. It was a goddess dowel that I have. They have all these sayings and affirmations on it. And it's funny because some people, when they see my dowels, they ask me if I'm into voodoo. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with voodoo. I'm like, this is a spirit dowel. There's a difference. You've got to educate people on that. And she is just amazing textile creative artist, art force. What is it? Bridget over here is a event planner, but she's also one of my belly dance sisters too, because we definitely dance together. And then like a Star is just a beam of light and a support system. And then there's Queen of Dooney that's always creating something on a daily basis. And she's an amazing artist, and she's a singer, and she's a natural hair. So if you're wondering how I actually got into natural hair care, started working with Queen, she's Sheila Everette-Hale actually is the person that actually probably started the natural hair movement here in Detroit, 70s. So her and her family have a natural hair salon, and she was if you saw the magazines, you know how we used to look at the hair magazines? Before Pinterest and Instagram, used to look at the hair magazines, try to find your next style and everything like that. Several of her work and her family's work were what was one of those pictures when it came to natural hair. So I've been looking at her for years, not even realizing that I was going to be attached at the hip to her later in life. And when it comes to that natural hair game, her and her family are just, nobody can touch them, period. And yeah. Does anybody have any questions about Kwanzaa? Or who's actually celebrating Kwanzaa today? I know I am. I know I gotta fetch my thing. I wonder, I didn't even check to see if Charles Wright Museum is doing, because Charles Wright Museum usually has a celebration every day of Kwanzaa. I didn't check to see if they're doing it. They probably are. I just haven't seen anything. And then I heard the city of Detroit has the largest Kinara. They have a Kinara, the candle holder in the city of Detroit.
Oh, really?
And I heard about that, huh?
I said, oh, really?
Yeah, I heard about that, and I'm like, I just didn't see anything on it if they were actually doing some sort of daily ceremony. So I've seen some.
Is it located at the museum, or you say the city of Detroit, where is it located? The Canara, or is it in the Charles Wright Museum?
I'm looking it up right now because, like I said, I heard it. Okay, it was unveiled. I'm looking at it right now. It's a 30-foot tall Kwanzaa Canara. See, thank God for the internet, because I was like, I know I heard it. It's at Beacon Park, so it's going to be unveiled today at Campus Marshes. It's going to be located at, so it's located in Campus Marshes, and it's going to be revealed after a celebration today at Beacon Park, and it's going to be on display through January 1st. So it is a collaboration with I know I'm going to say this wrong. Is it Al-Kubi Iron Village, the Charles Wright Museum of African Art, the City of Detroit, and City Councilman Scott Beeson. So yeah, it's Motor City Kwanzaa celebration at Beacon Park and the Canara lighting at Campus Marshes.
And what time is that?
Motor City Kwanzaa celebration is 3 p.m. to 4:30 at Beacon Park today. And then the lighting of the Canara will take place at Campus Marshes from 5 p.m. to 5:30.
Is it gonna be on the, it's gonna be televised?
I don't know. It should be. I'm looking at, I'll give you the link that I'm looking at. It's on Channel 7 right now. Didn't say it was gonna be televised, but it should be televised. They televise everything else.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Yeah,
I'll put that in the chat.
I think that Mama Het's guest from last week is part of that. You remember that, sisters, that she was saying she's an artist and stuff, and she made those embroidery things, and she was saying, and I was, you know, like, what? When did she say? I'm pretty sure that was part of it.
Oh, you're talking about D?
Yeah. And she was saying she was going to be part of something that was going down, and it's connected with that village, that educational village.
Yeah, let me copy that because I know I messed up that name. I know I did. I want to say Kwanzaa is one of the most interesting holidays because it wasn't until recently that they actually start coming out with like music and the supplies to actually get everything. And, you know, I'm praying that it doesn't, I mean, it's sort of kind of commercialized, but not quite, because I didn't like how they started commercializing Juneteenth. I'm like, you know what? Don't start. Please don't start. Trying to, I like the aspect of sometimes we have to get creative and create our own as opposed to, you know,
Making
them
it,
trying to sell it back to us.
they're capitalizing on it.
Or are they trying to? Because some of the stuff I've seen some Kwanzaa stuff at Michael's, and I'm like, first of all, this looks so ugly. And I'm like, why? I just like, who? I hope none of us buys this because it was like the kente cloth, but it was so faded and the colors just looked horrible. I'm like, no, I don't need to buy some of this stuff. I would rather create. If I have to create out of nothing, I would rather create out of nothing. But I'm quickly going to the boards to see, because I would love to go to the Kwanzaa celebration. I really would. I just don't want to be outside. That's my thing. I'm like, it's kind of cold. So yeah, I don't know if they're televising it, but it would be great if they did. And I know the few that I went when I lived in Midtown, I would always be at the Charles Wright Museum for Kwanzaa because it was a 2-minute walk from where I lived. And I swear to God, yeah, the 35th. Oh, you brought that up. Is that what that looks like?
Wow.
Yeah, Reverend Omani put this in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. City of Detroit Downtown, Detroit Partnership. rendering of Detroit's, okay, so that'll be up until, wait a minute.
They said January 1st.
Yeah, well, this is December 15th, which we're obviously past that. That is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, I loved a lot of the principles that you talked about, what you're doing with your family for Kwanzaa, which is, you know, unity. It's for us to strive to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. So that's what we're doing today. I want to hear from everybody else. What do you guys plan on doing today to celebrate unity?
I just want to say I have to get off. I'm being summoned. No. I need to go cook because I have people showing up. So I'm going to go ahead and say bye for now, but I really appreciate being on. I'm going to go take this medicine because my throat feels like it's flaring up and get this food on. But I wanted to say I really appreciate it. You invited me on, Danielle. It was really nice meeting all of you ladies. In my world, I call every Black woman I meet a queen. So it was nice to meet you all, queens. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day and also happy Kwanzaa.
Happy
Miss
Kwanzaa.
Adrienne, before you leave, that room, that corner that you in is beautiful. And that was the perfect spot for you to pick to come to us today and do your presentation. That's beautiful. Thank you for blessing us with your presence today. It was beautiful to hear from you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I wish Danielle has invited me before. I really wish I can be on more, but I work as a teacher, as she said. So with this, I'm off for 2 weeks. Thankful for our 2 weeks off. So hopefully I'll be able to get on next Monday as well. But I have some things that I'm definitely going to try to get done as far as my goals that I have with my family and also with myself, with self-care and doing my knitting like my mom taught me how to do. So I have a couple of projects I'm trying to get done also in 2 weeks. So
yeah, and thanks for pushing through not feeling well, not feeling great. And so rest your voice and just do a lot of hugging today. Thank you.
will be.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming so much and sharing, and have a blessed Kwanzaa. I have no idea if we're gonna make it over there. I have no idea, but I know sometime if we're doing this Kwanzaa season, we're gonna make it over there.
Okay.
And thank you so very much, sis. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye, queens.
Bye-bye. Have
Bye.
a great day.
Bye.
So yeah, I'm so glad she was able to come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know, when she was talking about knitting, my mother used to knit and she had taught me, as a matter of fact, when I was younger, she sent me to a lady down the street to learn knit and crochet. And it's something I actually dropped in my teenage years because my mother also used to sew. So she had taught me knit, she taught me to sew, and I continued to sew through high school, but I dropped the knitting part. And I keep hearing about knitting, and I think it's something I'm getting ready to pick back up. Over COVID, I had said, I think it's time for me to start sewing again. And so I think I'm getting ready to pick it. I keep hearing these words. So I think it's calling for me to pick it back up again.
I had knitting classes as well. It was a lady from school my mom paid to come and teach me, and I picked it up, and then like you said, I dropped it. And I know a few years ago, this big giant knit, it's a big giant knit blanket that was so popular that everybody was making, but it was a big one. And I said, I want to sit down and actually make one of those. It's something about putting your own energy into stuff and just sitting there. And I think knitting is actually looks like to me like a form of like a moving meditation. And I'm like, yeah, I think I might want to sit down and pick that up. Just to
Because my mom would sit and knit for hours. She would just sit there and she would knit, and she would knit scarves and hats and those things that you don't appreciate until you get older. She made everything as well. So she would make our gowns, she would make robes, she would make curtains, she'd make blankets. And so I'm regaining that appreciation now that she's no longer here. She passed me her recipe books many years ago. So I have her recipe books and her cast iron pots and all of that. So this knitting part, all of this is kind of coming back. And it's like, I think it's time for me to, because I am now the matriarch of the family when she passed. So I think it's time for me to pick that back up so that I can kind of pass that on, because I've been passing on the business part that my father gave to me, but I think it's time for me to also pass down what my mother gave. In response to what you were talking about, a path of remembering our ancestors when we were all together as a family. My son has all the videos. My father used to videotape everything when video cameras first came out. And I didn't realize that my son had them. And he had all these videos. And over dinner, he was like, come into this. We were all at his house and he said, come in here. I want to show you all something. And he put this on. And it was all these videos that my father had taken of when we go down south and go home. And so my grandfather and my grandmother and all my aunts and uncles were there. The two that are still living, but the ones that had passed on, everyone, my father had everyone get into a circle. And he had said, I want to take this video so we always have this. And to hear his voice and hear him say those words and see all of them that had already passed on, all in this circle, was just extremely moving. So to hear you talk about that and your ancestors and the remembering, it just kind of all came back. So yeah, it is a wonderful thing.
In the chat, I put in, there's a business in Michigan called Color Bars. Look up Color Bars, because you could take those tapes and they can digitize for them and put them on DVD for you.
Thank you, because I was saying that yesterday. I was saying that to my son yesterday. They all need to go on DVD and everyone needs a copy.
Yeah, it is relatively cheap. It doesn't cost a whole lot, maybe $25, maybe, don't quote me on it, but look up Color Bars in Detroit, Michigan, and you can contact them about converting that to a DVD for you. Because
Awesome.
once you get it as DVD, you can actually copy it and upload it to the cloud. So you will have the DVD, you have the tape, the DVD, and then also the digital one. And they may actually be able to do some restoration to it as well.
Yeah, because I also need to find someone who can duplicate photos, because we've got a ton of photos. And I want everyone to have them. I know that I think there's a site that you can get them put on. It's not glass, it's like a plexiglass or something that you can hang them on your wall.
Tiles?
What is it?
Mix tiles?
That might be it.
Yeah, I'll type that in there.
Because I want to make sure that all of us have all of these photos.
Okay. Well, have you ever thought about just scanning them up into a cloud drive and let everybody have access to the drive?
I thought about that because as my dad, I took a ton of photos after he was diagnosed with the illnesses that he had. And when he was in the hospital, I just started taking photos and I uploaded everything to Dropbox. And the other day I went into that Dropbox and I didn't realize how many photos I'd taken. So I'm thinking about doing that too. Thank you for that. to see if I can upload them all to a cloud, but that everyone also has. I want everyone to have paper copies. The old ways of everyone's parents had a photo album. That's what I want to bring back, is that old photo album that you can sit down and actually flip through photos. Because should the internet ever disappear, I don't want all of that to disappear as well. So I want everyone to be able to have the old way of, you went to your grandparents' house and somebody pulled out the photo albums and showed the pictures that you hope nobody would ever see. I want that to have that.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. There's also another company that would take, I know, I'm trying to think, I know they take things like your Facebook posts and Instagram posts and turn it into a book. I think they're the same ones that could probably take those photos and turn it into a book. And I gotta find the company, but there's like a company that would actually you could take your photos and turn it into like a kid's storybook. So it's like, I've got to find the company that does that, because I think that is so totally phenomenal, and that's an excellent way of introducing your ancestry, reading in a book form. I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. I like that. I like that.
The African ancestry, over the summer, all the first cousins, the female first cousins, we all got together. On my father's side, I have 4 aunts that are still alive. So the matriarch, the oldest aunt, we requested that she take the African DNA test, and all the female first cousins, which are all the daughters of them, we paid for the test. And we got it back. And I really need to sit down and look up the information that we got back.
Okay. And you said that's African ancestry?
Yep, we did the African ancestry one. And the oldest aunt, we had her actually be the one to do the saliva test. So we would kind of know what was what. So yeah, it is very interesting to know, but it's like you said, as your aunts and uncles become much older, because we now call them the cotton tops, because all of them are white. So we had them, because we realized when we got together for our last family reunion, when we looked around, we were like, we're now that next line. And it's up to us to keep everything else going, because they're in their 80s now. So we knew that for the female first cousins, we were like, it's now up to us. And we can't drop the ball, because they didn't drop the ball. We can't drop the ball, and we've got to keep it going, because all of us under us and their children have children. So it's up to us to keep that next line.
I'm ready to sit down and spend time with so like I said, my aunts and uncles are that next branch. So I'm ready to sit down and record them talking. I have one uncle that knows stuff and acts like he don't want to say anything. And I'm like, come on now. It's going to come out to light one way or the other. Just spill the beans, whatever that is. My aunt did ancestry. I had an uncle who passed away. And that's the one thing I want to find out, because my uncle passed away. I got an email Ancestry, be like, well, he passed away. How do I get access to his DNA test since he's passed away? Because that's information that would help our blood. One thing I do suggest, if you guys do decide to go on Ancestry.com or any online tree website, make your profile public, make your tree public, because when you have family members trying to connect their trees to your tree and everything, and it's private, it's like we can't see nothing. you know, I have so many people that are afraid of, I don't know what they're afraid of, but I'm like, in the search and the connectivity, it makes it a lot easier if your tree is public, so people can actually, you know, connect. That's just a tip right there. That is just a tip right there. So I want to know, well, it's like, is there anybody this year that's planning on doing an ancestry DNA or any DNA test this year or next year?
I am. I am definitely going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. We actually talked about it when we were all together yesterday, because my son actually said to me, I wanted to buy it for you. He said, I know you've had an ancestry account, but he said, I wasn't sure if you were, and I said, Mom's gonna get it herself. So I'm actually going to do it, if not before the end of this year, the beginning of next year. Because now that we've already started it, I'm on the family side, I want both sides, because I know pretty much my mother's side and my father's side. I've been on Ancestry for years. So I knew how far back in Louisiana we went, because I traced it all the way back to the 1700s. So, and my father's second oldest sister, she was a professor. Well, she's retired now, but she was a professor. And she actually did our family genealogy all the way back and wrote a paper about it. And one of my cousins holds that paper. And so we began the discussion about getting that into book form, and that be passed through the family. So it's extremely important. But it's definitely something I'm planning to do.
Mama Evelyn?
Mama Evelyn?
Well, I would like to find out, because I have a picture of my mom, my dad, and me. Well, I guess it's a portrait. I don't know how they did it back then, but I would like to get it reconstructed. And I'm sure the technology's there. Because, when I was younger, I got creative with the crayon. I didn't do the face, but I mean, it was just scribbles. But yeah, I just want him like freshened up so that I have that memory. Yeah. Yeah. Because I had someone do it years ago, but I love him very much, but he didn't do a very good job. I don't think he knew. He didn't do a very good job. It didn't look anything like I thought it should. So, but yeah, that would be interesting to find a company that can recreate the photograph.
I think you can check out, you want it right, reconstructed and then reprint it, or reconstruct it and put it out?
Just I guess clarify it a little more, and then to have copies, because it's a beautiful picture. I mean, it's not really, I don't know what you call it. I think it's like a
Restoration.
it's some sort of painting, but it doesn't look like I think it's a photograph, but it looks like a painting in a way. So yeah, I don't have it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I do want to get mine done. I don't know my father's side of the family, and my mom was the last. Aunt Edie was the last to go, and she went, a couple of years ago. So, as far as the Everetts, well, let me see. Well, I know I'm one of the elders now, and Yeah. So yeah, I would like to find out what my background is, where my blood, where it flowed and how I got here and stuff like that. Like what I know about my body is that I have an athletic body. My dad was very athletic and in the sports and stuff like that. And yeah, just would like to, find out what's up. What's up? And then one of my things on my agenda for this year coming up is that I bring my family together and we learn more about our individual interests. What do people like? What do they study? What do they like to do that we don't know about? What are the children into that we need to celebrate? Where are challenges in their lives and our lives that we want to take on or we've been working with? And we may have the answer to that. Somebody else in the family may have, oh, I do that. So want to be more open about what we do and not be so private, and to release that separation, bring those walls down so that we can find out. I remember Fame used to do something, and then as a child and stuff, and when I was telling his father about that, what he does, Philip is not his father, but he's been there since he was 1 year old. When I told Guy what he did, he started laughing. He said, I used to do that. So that's where that came from. It was just something that Fame would do that would drive me nuts. I didn't know where he would, try to cast a demon out and all that stuff, And then he said, oh yeah, I used to do that when I was young. Simple thing like that. Then you just know it is, is it heredity or something like that? So then I knew how to deal with it from that point of view, But yeah, when we know more about each other individually, what really makes you happy and what is that you want to be, like in Landmark, they used to say when we would complete the day, what do you want to be acknowledged for? We got our own ideas of what is great about a person, and that doesn't mean anything to them. What you don't know is I like this, and that might be the very thing that your mom and dad don't want to know about that you do or don't want you into. Like a movie I was watching this Christmas, that movie with Divine, was it Loretta Devine and Chris Brown? He wanted to be a singer, but because her husband left because he was a singer, and her son, her older son, left because he was a singer. Here's the baby, and he wants to be a singer. Chris Brown can sing his butt off. She didn't want to even hear about it. So he had to do it undercover. He had to hide and do it. And that's the very thing that gave him life and excitement, And so we might be doing that to one another in our families. Well, I'm not going to tell them because they don't like this or they're not interested. Like I said, like my husband, he's really, really into, not like I said, not astrology, but the galaxies. And he can tell you what stuff is, but nobody talks about it, And I desire that we as a family, just like right here, we talk a lot about stuff that you probably haven't shared with your own family. But because those times of us coming together, it gives more opportunity, to share those things. And then again, you still have families. Each of us raise our children a certain way, and we don't want you interfering with how we raise our children. I want my children to go to the doctor and to the hospital when you're trying to say, but you can do it this natural way, and they don't want to hear it. So anyway, I do want to do more of that, and where we are focusing on what the children do and what we as adults do. We came together one time with Mama. That was a funny time too. At the shop, we had laid the table out. We ate and stuff. And so Mama was going to share with us. She wanted to talk to us, you know. And you talk about them children, they were sitting at Mama's feet. We were at the table, but they wanted to hear what Granny had to say about the family. They wanted to hear that. We was over there acting silly and stuff and dancing, and the grown-ups, right? We over there dancing, and Mama said, I said, sit down. You talk about me, you know, 50, 60 years old, rushing to sit down. Where the kids, they just wanted to hear. They wanted to hear what was going to come out of her mouth and Aunt Edie about the family, the history. So I want to make sure that my family has more of those opportunities and make it desirable in a way where everybody really wants to hear. You know, my niece Tika, she worked on Mama's pineapple upside down cake till she got it perfect. That was one of the things that Mama would make, is pineapple upside down cake. So yeah. So yeah, I do want to get the bloodline, and if I find out my daddy ain't my daddy, just so be it. Wait, but I can also find out that my mama ain't my mama, you know. You know, but yeah, I definitely want to find out about that.
But you get to find, that's the beauty about it, is that we get to find out. It's like we get to get the knowledge. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I debugged the family myth. We got the truth. Now it's like, okay, just want to find out a little bit more. And then also what happened to my grandfather's brothers. My grandfather had brothers that changed their name. First of all, why did y'all change your name? And then second of all, now we got to look for Jackson and Smith. I'm like, okay.
And some of the Everetts, they don't have the E, and some do have the E. You know, with Doris, my sister, she, in some of her documents, there's no E on the end, where you know, the rest of us have. Now I'm gonna go by what we did, because my mama wrote it. Just like on my middle name is Elaine, and they don't have an E on there. ELAIN is what they have. But I trust what my mama wrote down more than I trust what the secretary wrote down, you know.
Okay, and I didn't do this at the beginning of the show because I'm still getting used to everything. But the term, and I have an elder that uses it every day. So it's like you say, you have Christmas every day. I have an elder, what is it, Mama Raven, you know, she uses the principle of Kwanzaa every single day. So the greeting is, I hope I say this right, Habari Gani. Habari Gani, which means what's the news? It's our way of saying, you know, what up, or in Detroit sense, what up though. So Habari Gani, what's the news? What's the good news? What's the good news of the day? The day's all about Habari Gani. I hope I'm saying that right.
Payamba greets you with Habari Gani. And then I say Tutanara. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that was, you know, the response to it. Well, ladies, it is in one probably second or so. We're coming up on 10 o'clock. Those who have not said anything or greeted us, you want to jump in there and greet us for Kwanzaa.
Just real quick. Grand Rising.
Habari Gani.
Tutanara.
Habari Gani, my loves. Not quite ready for the camera yet. Love y'all.
And love you guys too. Oh, I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show that I started on this Black Girl Train on TikTok because I want to get to 1,000 so I can go live. Yesterday, I did the work, follow back. I was at 800. When I went to sleep, I was at 870. This morning, I was at 930. I am now at 975 followers on TikTok, 25 people away to be able to go live. And I'm so excited. Just want to show you the power. So I put the hashtag Black Girl Train. If you are on TikTok, we need to make sure we're following each other. Follow back. Also, what is it? I put the hashtag there, the Black Girl Train. And I know eventually, since Elizabeth is coming up, we need to start hashtagging EVC23. Like now. And I'm going to get together something so that we can actually start doing some live things. Somebody was on TikTok. I heard it.
Me. I was putting it in right now.
Okay. That is something, a movement I really want to do with Elizabeth as well. You know, we follow the EVC23 is something to promote the Elizabeth, but also maybe you could do EVC train too. I think I might do that. We can always create. That way we can start EVC tagging people, tagging our guests, tagging yeah, we can make that a thing. How about that? Yeah, EVC train. So that we're following each other, we're uplifting each other, we're promoting each other, we're sharing each other. Because that's just the digital age right now. I swear, I'm finding out about stuff from people just sharing stuff with us. So I love you guys. Queen Aduni, are we having training tomorrow or not?
Yes. Yes. We got a lot to go over, especially switching the location. And you know, I want your input as about the conference, what you'd like to see. I'd like you to see what we've already got put started as far as you know, the whole conference and what all want to be done, so that there's no at the end, why didn't they do this? Because I am one that will like cut it. You know, we want your input so that it is magnificent. And there are ways for you to also make money. We're working on that, being an affiliate. And then everybody on here is doing something in relation to what you do. So we want you to be on. I am going to personally get in contact with Mama Het, because she'll be, like you said, in her she'll be knitting. And she goes deep in meditation when she's knitting.
Actually, it's crocheting, but yes, Mama.
Crocheting, yes, crocheting, yes.
I'm a hooker.
That is a cute t-shirt. That's a t-shirt right there.
I'm a hooker, yes. Love it. I don't know what y'all posted in WhatsApp, but her and Lolly, while we was partying, it just passed by. But we had a great time, a wonderful time yesterday. So anyway, so that's Tuesday evening. Now I don't have the people who I guess. Oh, I know who's coming on tomorrow. Garden. And
Baba Malik Yakini.
Yes.
From D-Town Farm.
Yes. So spread the news, because that's going to be awesome to what he's been doing in the community. And he's a badass bass player. I'm talking about his group is awesome. Awesome. And Wednesday, who we have?
Baba Haru is coming on talking about the mesh network that he created here in the Ewa Circle Village.
Yes, awesome. Do we have Thursday people on here? Not today, but we have
Thursday is a Moja.
Thursday is
economics.
Reverend Ruth. She's dynamic as well. And then we have Reverend Shahira. Oh, that's going to be something else. And we're going to cover the three Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay, the last 3 days.
You know who's doing the faith. She's gonna clean it up. And then we're gonna divide the show up. Lolly, are you talking about, did you have the purpose or creativity?
Creativity.
Okay, and so I'm talking about purpose, and Danny's going to bring about what the history and stuff of Kwanzaa. So it'll be good. So I'm looking forward to everything. Oh my goodness, everything. So happy Kwanzaa. Love you.
Happy Capricorn season, all the Capricorns.
Yes.
Earth gang.
Okay.
All right, peace out. Have a Miff it. Make it fun.
Make it fun.
Make it fun.
Peace out.
No.
Oh no, yeah, hug. Oh, God. Oh, I was about to hit that button.
It's too cold to forget this part today.
All right.
Oh, quick question before everybody goes. Is everybody on here on TikTok?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna make sure I'm following. You said you're not Mama Het?
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready.
So much. All right, peace out.
Peace out.